Welcome to another intestine-bursting episode of Fearless TV, the only program that's ever gone ram raiding on a motorbike. Coming up in the next half hour, we'll harness up for some hardcore climbing action on the indoor wall. Insane freeride stuff from the biggest snowboard and ski contest. Plus, heli bungee action on the way. All this and some other stuff on Fearless TV. The sport of climbing has received its share of media attention in the last decade, and while outdoor climbing has always been regarded as an extreme pursuit due to the unpredictable nature of the elements, indoor sport climbing has found a place among the purists, thanks to its inclusion in extreme sports game series around the world. The sport is basically broken into two distinct and separate categories: speed and technical climbing. Both courses set by experienced instructors, the major difference being the time taken to cover the wall. The speed climb involves more power-orientated moves, such as dynamos and double dynamos, used by the climbers to launch from 1 foot or handhold across a space not normally within reach at a much faster pace than during a technical climb. And the course layout varies in degrees of difficulty depending on the ability of the climbers taking part. Quite often an inverted section features near the top of the course, testing the limits of the already tired climbers. The idea is to cover the course as rapidly as possible, as remaining stationary requires energy to be expended staying on the wall. With gravity doing its best to drain climbers of energy, the principle is to combine smooth moves with sheer power and speed, and to spend as little time on the climbing surface as possible without jeopardizing safety. Speed climbing could be seen as a distillation of all skills involved into a sprint to the top. Technical climbing owes its origins to the outdoor side of the sport, where the ability to negotiate obstacles or overcome difficult sections is paramount to survival. And the more a climber can thoughtfully assess a situation and apply their skills, the more successful they will be and ultimately more confident. The technical climb routes are set out with this in mind, testing the climber's ability and flexibility in a more controlled manner. With the focus being on stretching the climber's ability to make it from one anchor point to the next with maximum difficulty. Handholds and footholds vary in size and distance between, creating many variations of routes on the one wall, and climbers are judged on successful execution of moves to cover the course.
usually take 7 to 9 stretches.
While the term burnout applies or has applied in the past to motorsport-related events, we thought we'd stretch the meaning a little and show you it's just as easy to burn out under your own power, especially in the snow. The most spectacular action of any type of ski or snowboard contest usually takes place on the free ride day or section of the course, and the Heli Challenge is no exception. Organisers have deliberately chosen the nastiest section of the mountain, ensuring whichever line you choose down, you'll encounter some form of gnarly obstacle, mostly in the shape of rocks. The idea behind the free ride day is to make it top to bottom in the most spectacular style. And while a smooth ride down the mountain could eventually be found, it won't score many points with the judges. They've come to see guts and courage. The bigger the drop-off or rock face negotiated, the more points awarded. The main focus of the contestants is not to break anything and stay alive. Pretty simple, really. Here's a few examples of how they went. And a couple of examples of how not to do it. Time now to get into some serious truck grinding, rail sliding action as we hit the streets on skateboards. After much practice time is put in at the officially sanctioned local skate park, it's time to test those skills in front of a much larger audience, the general public. The beauty of street skating is the enormous number of man-made obstacles to jump, slide or grind. And flips work just as well on the pavement as in the bowl. This guy collected the most snow on the free ride day we've ever seen. And that's why he deserves our Fearless TV Play of the Day. Time again to take a serious look at the ever-growing sport of bungee. And once again, we've come up with a twist, as if there needed to be one, throwing yourself into thin air. This time it's the 1,000-foot heli bungee. While the chopper doesn't actually bungee, it just holds the cord at one end. But it sounds pretty good. As you probably know by now, the bungee cord consists of latex strands interwoven and has a capability of stretching to 4 times its original length, which makes this one about 200 feet. Although with heli bungee, this determination is not crucial, as there's still plenty of air between the jumper and the ground at the end of the stretch. The biggest attraction is the added instability factor of the helicopter as a launching platform, and the bonus of being able to jump over virtually any scenery you desire within reason. With the help of a safety instructor on board for support and a countdown, it's just a matter of falling out of the chopper. Sometimes more difficult than it sounds. Here's a surefire way to wreck those new 2 10cm atomics. Time to get back into the water and amongst one of our favourite pastimes, surfing. Whether you're up at 6 in the morning to catch a few tubes before throwing on the suit for a long day of paperwork at the office, or you happen to be a weekend warrior with a board permanently bolted to the roof racks of your van, there's nothing to sharpen the senses and clear the cobwebs like taking off down the face of a nice fat left-hander. The development of board design towards shorter, wider, more manoeuvrable boards has seen a rapid progression of tricks and general skill level among the ocean dwellers. Speed and buoyancy of the surfboard has increased, opening up the number of breaks that are now rideable, especially in competition, as surfers are now less dependent on conditions in the ocean being favourable, and much smaller waves can be ridden with much greater effect. Snowboarding's popularity has also filtered through to the surfing community, generating a whole new batch of willing participants looking to become involved in the sport of the off-season that is similar in style. Whatever your preference, you can be sure surfing will be around for many years to come. Time for another quick look at the rapidly growing sport of canoe rodeo on Fearless TV. Already a huge draw card in Europe and the United States, where venues are much more numerous and varied than in drier countries. Canoe rodeo is the expression session of canoeing and an opportunity for paddlers to demonstrate all of their accumulated skills in one short burst before a huge crowd. Since the events usually take place in white water area of a waterway, generally a hole created by either a natural or man-made obstacle, the size and frequency of the tricks performed is largely dependent on rate of water flow. This causes interesting problems getting into the perfect spot to perform tricks, as some serious upstream paddling is required to position the boat over the hole, and to keep it in place as the currents are continually trying to move it downstream. The bigger the hole, the faster the surrounding water flow. Another problem for canoe competitors are the unseen elements lurking below the water. As rocks are involved in the cause of water formation, you can be sure many more lurk below the surface. We'll have more canoe rodeo on future episodes of Fearless TV.